Welcome back. There are two sides to the Maldives. One that we are all familiar with, pristine white beaches and mesmerizing blue waters. The other side is a country plagued by poverty, people living in squalid conditions, and where the difference between the haves and the have-nots is immense. Juliana Ruhfus continues her report on the struggle for democracy and equality in the Maldives.
Since the first resorts were built in 1972, tourism has become the mainstay of the Maldives economy. More tourists visit the country each year than there are Maldivians, and this has given the country one of the highest GDPs in South Asia. Together with the Minister for Tourism, Dr. Mahmoud Shuge, we visit Sonevagili, one of the country's 87 resorts. In terms of government revenue and foreign exchange earnings, how much money is generated in the Maldives through tourism?
I think it's about 70% of the foreign revenue that comes into the country comes from tourism. We get approximately about $100 million now from rent, resort rent, and bad taxes.
This is an entry-level villa.
That's right, yeah.
Which means that it's the most basic.
Yeah, I don't want to use that word, but it is, yes.
Entry-level,
yeah,
okay.
Entry-level, yeah.
Entry-level. So how much in dollars do you charge for a villa like this per
Our rack
night?
rate for this season is $1,115
per night.
Per night.
There is no corporation tax in the Maldives, so of the $1,115 for this villa, the government will get at the most $56 in revenue. Critics say that such a system leaves big profits for large private businesses, but doesn't benefit the people enough. The fact that some government officials are also involved in the tourism business has led to accusations of a conflict of interests.
So what's the relationship between the government and private business?
I can speak for the tourism sector. It is true, there are some senior businessmen from the tourism sector in the government today. To be more specific, the Rotheroe's minister is, of course, a tourism businessman. Our finance minister is also involved in the tourism business. But they did not become business people while in the government. These people have come into the government very recently. And I think it's only beneficial that business people with their experience, those people who have built the tourism industry in the Maldives, are now sitting around the table discussing what economic future policies to bring in. And I think that this is an industry that is for all Maldivians, that will benefit all Maldivians.
The opposition, however, begs to differ. The MDP take us to see the problems of poverty and overcrowding in Malé. A third of the country's population, over 100,000 people, live here, crammed into 1 square mile, making it the most densely populated city on earth.
Hello. How many people stay in this house?
More than 10.
More than 10?
Yeah.
So, this room, your room, how many people sleep there?
This room, 4 people.
And the little room to my right?
My younger brother and his wife.
And upstairs 6?
Yeah. No, from the government, they don't provide anything. Today also to bring something. Tomorrow. 1 jota book cellophane, with cellophane.
And are you able to buy that?
No.
You don't have the money?
Yeah.
Do many people in Malé live like you?
Yeah, so many.
Ibrahim Zaki used to be a government minister, but quit to join the MDP. Until recently, he was the party president.
You know the corridors that we've just walked down? How many people live along those corridors?
Well, about 50 people lives in those corridors. Every family has a single room to cook, to sleep, and they are with the children. And this is, what is very sad is that while we have such an impressive growth, GDP rate compared to South Asian countries, Maldives people does not enjoy this wealth. I have served in President Gayoom's cabinet for 10 years. And I have been the planning minister for 5 years and the tourism minister for 5 years. I have seen what the government is doing. What I cannot accept is the living standard of the people to be this poor while the leadership lives in wealthy and luxury, life. 10% of the population enjoys 90% of the wealth.
The government says one of the biggest problems they face is the sheer geography of the Maldives. 99% of the country is water. Getting anywhere involves dealing with the sea, and that makes things expensive. We're taken to see the government's biggest social initiative by the Foreign Minister, Dr. Ahmed Shahid. This is Hulhumale, a man-made island built on a submerged reef. It is intended to both ease the overcrowding in Male and draw in people from the less inhabited islands.
What we see here is a planned development of a modern city designed to house some 50,000 residents.
It's the idea of population consolidation. What is that?
Right, simply it means we're trying to create large population centers where we will achieve greater economies of scale. Right now we have 300,000 people dispersed over 200 islands in very thin population densities, which makes any economic activity prohibitively expensive.
A recent United Nations study showed that because of transportation costs and the need to import everything, building a primary school in the Maldives costs 6 times as much as it does in nearby Sri Lanka.
By bringing people together, you can create better quality education, higher standards of medical care, and even basic social amenities.
Another day, another boat. Maria Didi is a prominent member of the MDP and campaigner for women's rights. She was recently given a Woman of Courage award by the US State Department. She takes us to Tulistu Island near Male to show us the flip side of population resettlement. Here, victims of the 2004 tsunami were relocated from another atoll and have been waiting for 2 years for new homes.
They came with the expectation that within 12 months they would be in their own homes. 18 months by the time they get to their own, that's the most that was given as a period for them to be able to move to their own homes. And they still haven't realized their dream to go and live somewhere else. This is where they store their personal stuff because they don't have enough space in their homes.
And that's what they brought with them from the previous island to start a new life here?
Yes.
The government asked for a list of items we lost in the tsunami. We've sent the list several times through the island office, but there's been no compensation.
Yeah. 2 wells for them to use water, and you saw the smell. They're saying it's really horrible what they have to use as water here to clean their body and everything else, for cooking and cleaning. 53 households were promised they would be given good land and all that. While they were negotiating, this was given to the finance minister, and it's for 20 years, that's what he said.
And what's the finance minister doing over there? You say
it's a fish factory.
A fish factory.
There's nothing going on anymore. It's just
so it's not even providing employment.
6 foreigners and a cook.
Oh, this is what's been proposed? This is the 5th version?
5th map, yes.
So you had 4 others before?
Yeah.
Do you think there will be number 6?
Yeah.
As the MP of Male Atoll, how much power do you have to change these people's lives?
Honestly speaking, as an opposition MP, I can only put pressure on the government and talk to the ministers and question them in Parliament about the claims that they have. They are there in the government even now, and they have the obligation to do these things for the people, whereas we are there in opposition just to be able to talk about these things and bring it to their attention in Parliament.
Arguably, you've got the easier job.
Arguably, we've got a difficult job because we have to come here and we have to listen to these complaints, and we have to take it to those people, and we have to still get elected when we haven't been able to do anything for them. So arguably, we have a more difficult job.
Maria says that much of the poverty in the Maldives could be alleviated if earnings from tourism were more fairly distributed.
We ask in Parliament, you know, where is the money that comes into this country? Because we have more tourists than Maldivians in our country, and it's quite expensive as well, but where is the money? You know, as I told you, hospital donated, anything, island schools donated by different aids, Japanese aids. So where's the money?